H.Res. 1403 provides for consideration of the Senate amendment to H.R. 4213. Mr. Speaker, the legislation is like many of the bills that we do. It's the product of many hours of hard work. It's also an effort to strike a balance between extending important, life-saving assistance to laid-off workers and investing in smart spending that will help our economy. A significant portion of the bill would go directly to helping our citizens. We extend unemployment insurance, we invest in summer jobs, fund loans for small businesses, and make bonds available to states. But I'm pleased that the bill also cracks down on corporations closing tax loopholes that have encouraged companies to ship jobs overseas, a thing I have devoutly desired for numbers of years. Unlike the previous administration, we use pay-go rules here to make sure that new spending, other than emergency spending, is fully paid for. In fact, it's worthy to remind my colleagues that the deficit facing the country was created by the last administration, which financed 2 wars, prescription drug plan, and a huge tax cut, all of which was unpaid for, and consequently is responsible for 2/3 of the deficit. In the recent frenzied back and forth over this bill, sight of the important steps that Congress has taken up to this point to help right the economy. We've passed small business tax relief, expanded the first-time homebuyer tax credit, changed the way students apply for loans, funded a Cash for Clunkers program that injected money into the economy and helped to protect domestic jobs at a critical juncture. With this vote, we can help families across the country continue the path we set out on last year to help dig the country out of a terrible recession. For small businesses, the backbone of the nation's economy and the place where most American workers are employed, we use this bill to assure them an easier time getting loans. The bill also continues the very successful research and development tax credit, a powerful incentive to creating well-paying jobs. The measure extends the ongoing recovery by investing in Build America bonds and recovery zone bonds, making it less expensive for cash-strapped state and local governments to finance the rebuilding of schools and sewers and hospitals and transit projects. The legislation helps American families with sales tax relief, property tax relief, disaster area tax relief, and college tuition deductions. The bill wisely invests in important energy provisions such as the biodiesel tax credit while making good on our obligations to Black and Native American farmers. Finally, the measure also strengthens the Oil Spill Liability Trust Fund by increasing the amount the oil industry must pay to clean up its disasters. I also want to pause for a moment to talk about 2 pieces of legislation that I personally am happy to see in the bill because I think they will pay enormous benefits. This bill closes a loophole in the tax code that has been used by huge corporations, including publicly regulated utilities. Companies use this loophole to avoid paying millions in dollars in taxes when they spin off a subsidiary. These deals cost taxpayers and they hurt consumers, especially when the company using the loophole is a phone company that wants to get rid of the older telephone lines in small towns and rural areas. With this bill, we close that loophole and we will save taxpayers $260 million over the next 10 years. On another front, the bill also extends funding for the Wool Trust Fund, which helps to keep thousands of textile and apparel workers around the country employed. I was proud to work on this issue because of the relevance it has to Hickey Freeman, a 100-year-old company, a maker of fine men's suits located in Rochester, New York. The fund provides fund to makers of wool fabric and yarn producers, as well as sheep growers, to help maintain the domestic production of wool fabric. Too many of our industries in the United States have closed up and moved overseas. I frequently say that we can't be a great power if our entire manufacturing sector moves to other countries, and we are obligated to buy from other countries for our very livelihood. Mr. Speaker, Congress can rightly take great pride in some very historic work on behalf of our constituents this year. But we must remind ourselves that many people are still struggling, and we must do everything in our power to fund the necessary programs that protect the unemployed Americans, help small business, enhance job creation efforts, and keep America on the road to economic recovery. I urge my colleagues to join me today in voting yes on the rule and yes on this bill, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Texas.